Hello and welcome to Cooking the Books with Heather. Today we're going to be working again from David Leibovitz's Drinking French cookbook, and I'm going to be making grenadine syrup. So this is just a homemade replacement for the bottle of red stuff that you use in cocktails. And what I hadn't realized is that it's made from pomegranates, mostly pomegranate juice and pomegranate molasses, and I guess that makes sense because Grenade in French means pomegranate. That's what they're called. So anyway, this is going to be a really quick recipe. It's pretty much exactly like making simple syrup, but with pomegranate juice. So this is 100% juice. You can do it yourself, make pomegranate juice yourself out of the pomegranates, but I don't have time for that. And so I bought a bottle of just 100% pomegranate juice. You can find that in the produce section of most grocery stores, I think. This is just plain granulated sugar. You can use raw sugar, he says, but I'm just going to use granulated sugar to keep the flavor as neutral as possible. And we're going to turn this on. He says the lowest heat possible. My low heat is really low. I'm going to go with a slightly above the lowest heat possible, but not where it will simmer. And all we're looking to do here is to get this sugar dissolved in the pomegranate juice. So it's going to take a little while to do this, but he says to stir it the whole time until it dissolves. So hopefully this won't take too long, but it's a real simple process. So, all right. So you can tell, it's kind of hard to tell if the sugar is entirely dissolved, but you can tell a little bit by, you hear a little bit of a scraping from the sugar granules, scraping the bottom. And sometimes when you scrape it, when it gets kind of thin, you can see the sugar in there. So we're just waiting for all of that to go away. Okay, I'm no longer sort of feeling sugar or hearing the sugar scrape the bottom as I stir, and it looks pretty clear as I stir it. So I'm going to call this dissolved. So now we're going to turn off the heat. Two of the ingredients for this were a little bit difficult for me to find. I have pomegranate molasses, which is basically just concentrated pomegranate juice and sugar. So like this, but cooked down a lot. I don't know about the ratios, but I found this and the orange blossom water at a local Middle Eastern store. They have a restaurant, and then some things you can buy, some ingredients and things that are very common in that cuisine. And these are the only two ingredients I'm going to add. But if you're not going to be serving this to children and you want it to preserve and stay good a little bit longer, you can add a little bit of vodka. And so that's an optional ingredient in the recipe. I'm not going to be adding it. What was I going to say? Anyway, so we're going to be serving it. There's a drink that you can make that is non-alcoholic for kids, and we're going to be making that. Also, he says that to keep it longer, you can freeze it, and because there's a lot of sugar, it's relatively easy to sort of scrape out the amount that you need while it's still frozen. You don't have to completely defrost it. Or you could freeze it in cubes, and then you'll have a certain amount every time you defrost a cube. That's what we did with baby food, and it's really very helpful. Okay, so we're going to add the pomegranate molasses. All right, I'm just going to stir this a little bit with this spoon to get the rest out, because it's very thick, so it kind of wants to stick in the spoon. All right, there we go. Put the lid on this. I don't know if you have to refrigerate this. I'll have to check. Probably not. There's a lot of sugar, but. And then just a little bitty tiny bit of this orange blossom water. You also can buy both of these things on the internet, but with packaging and stuff, it was much easier for me to go to the market and buy it. So we're just gonna stir this up and it's done. So you'll want to cool this to room temperature and then store it in the refrigerator. Man, that orange blossom water smells really good. Very floral. There we go. There's our grenadine syrup. So, if you enjoyed watching me make this, please give me a thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, and come back and watch and see what I do with this in a little bit.